Hello, engineering slash product slash TPM talkers. As part of our 48 laws of power series for tech leaders, during the week I will post screenshots of the laws, and then on the weekends I'll explain what I'm trying to say by them, right? Lucky you, it's a weekend. So, law one is never outshine the architect. Never outshine the architect. The quote, we're going to have a quote, isn't it? By Harry S. Truman, president, by the way. And he said, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. And what is this trying to say? On the surface level, it's trying to say that as an engineering leader, as a technical program manager, you want to celebrate engineering brilliance. You want to tap into the knowledge that your engineers bring. You do not want to compete with it. You don't want to put them in a corner. You want to give them an opportunity to do the very best that they can do. And what that means is there's no reason for you to hog the limelight. Now, it's a bit nuanced. I've been in big tech companies, big banks, where you also need to show the value that you bring. So it's a fine balance between shining that light and making sure that some of it shines on you. And the key way to do that is to have metrics, to have data. So you have a baseline, you have a target, and it's possible for you to track your roadmap. It's possible for you to track your progress across that. And there's going to be a law around that. So I won't stress that. But for me, the number one measure of TPM success, TPM artistry, is program success. Now, what I mean by this is you want to get done for your customers as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And there'll be laws that will explain bits about that. But what I just want to take away from this is TPM expertise, the power, the influence that the TPM wields, whether it's a technical program manager, as a program manager, is not about being the loudest in the room. No, it's actually about amplifying the brilliance around you. And we see a positive example of that. A good example of that is MacBooks, Apple, iPhones, right? The partnership between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, the two Steves, right? It was a partnership of clarity. While Steve Wozniak was in the background working on all the technology, working on the engineering side of things, Steve Jobs was showing forth the products. He was shining the products. He was making sure that everything joined up. Okay? So the key point is you want to celebrate engineering brilliance. You don't want to compete with it. Now, an example of where this law was transgressed is Google Wave. So I'm not sure if some of you may be too young to know what Google Wave is, or maybe too old. But Google Wave was this all singing, all dancing product from Google, I think 2009, 2010, and was going to revolutionize everything. It was a combination of email, it was a combination of threads, it was a combination of search, it was a combination of, and it was being built by the same team that developed Google Maps. So this was an excellent team, right? It wasn't like, they were newbies. They knew what they were doing. However, they were competing PM visions, right? So both from the product managers and the program managers were competing grand visions. So at one point, there was actually a meme. No one knew what wave meant. They were building a new tech stack from the ground up, like chat. They wanted it to be editable by multiple people at once, like Google Docs. And then each conversation was supposed to be called like a wave, right? Threaded, multimedia, rich, replayable, right? You could even replay how the conversation evolved. It's funny because this was 2009, 2010. Now, in many ways, Zoom AI, Slack, IO, they're now doing elements of what Wave did, 15 years ago. But there was chaos. The product didn't land. By 2010, Google had to pull the plug. Even though the technology was revolutionary, even though the engineering team was capable, they had just delivered Google Maps, but they pulled the technology. Why? Because while the engineers wanted to focus on building a scalable core product, building the adoption first and then scaling, the product and program managers were more interested in demo here, demo there. They wanted to build a wow factor. They wanted to create hype, which is important, by the way. Steve Jobs did that brilliantly. But you cannot hype what does not exist. You need to ensure that to an extent you've hit those necessary milestones. And this is where the technical program manager, worth his or her salt, comes in. Because you help ensure that that hype is based on a fundamental result. Or rather, that hype is based on an actual MVP, that's minimum viable product, or MLP, minimum lovable product. And then you build it out and scale. So, the last thing I want to say is when you want to make decisions as a technical program manager, how do you make those decisions? Is it the highest paid person in the room or the hippo? The challenge with the hippo theory is that when you get in bed with a hippopotamus, it's all nice and warm and fuzzy in the beginning until they roll over and you're squashed. So it's important that you use metrics and data to make those decisions. Now, if you're a TPM, tech leader, engineering excellence leader, hearing this and you want to learn more, my handles are there. Reach out to me. Yeah, let's have a conversation. Take care. Bye.